And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition, another season, another day here of the GSL 2025 Season 1 Round of 8 Group B. I'm of course just ZvP. With me, I'm chained up. With me, I'm joined by no my plushies, but nothing but chains, fabulous. We're here to catch up on the GSL. Of course, we were live a couple of days ago with a GSL Round of 8 Group A. We were wrapping that up, and now we're here with Group B, and we're here to complete Season 1 of GSL this morning with Group B, and this evening with the semifinals and the grand finals as well. Oh boy, it's going to be a very intense week of StarCraft here on the CranKy Ducklings. Again, of course, GSL did take place last week. The finals, the round of 8 was all last week. It was all back to back 3 days of StarCraft, and we are here to catch up on those matches. Not just to catch up, but also to continue on into Season 2. Here we go. What do I mean by that? Initially here, as we get into the matches tonight and into our group, as you can see, when it comes to our weekly schedule, it's a very GSL heavy weekly schedule, and it all leads into DreamHack Dallas. So basically what had happened, and it shows just how intense the schedule is right now for StarCraft, and it is very intense. GSL Season 1 ended last week. It was 3 days straight. It was round of 8 Group A, round of 8 Group B, and then the semis and grand finals, 3 days straight of StarCraft. And then a couple of days right after that, bam, Season 2 qualifiers. Season 2 qualifiers were a couple of days ago. It was over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 2 days of GSL qualifiers. A couple of days ago were the qualifiers of Season 2, which is what we're going to be casting tomorrow. So today is Thursday. Thursday we have a full day of GSL of Season 1, and then tomorrow, Friday, full day of GSL Season 2 qualifiers. There are 16 best of threes in those qualifiers, so we have a lot of matches to cover, a lot of ground to cover throughout the weekend. So we're going to be covering Season 2 qualifiers tomorrow and the day after. What's crazy, regardless of how these events unfold in Season 1, 0 seeding for Season 2. Everyone has to requalify. Everyone has to try again to make it into Season 2 of GSL. So that is going to be tomorrow, and of course on Saturday. Meanwhile, we have DreamHack Dallas. That's going to be a 3-day event. That's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at least here in Australia. I believe in the Americas it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 3 days straight of DreamHack Dallas, and then 2 days after that, bam, EWC qualifiers. EWC qualifiers are going to be 2 days after DreamHack Dallas, which is going to be crazy. Then after that, Stars Agora. Then after that, we have, I believe, Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup is right after that as well. There's just a lot of content, a lot of StarCraft. Going to be a very intense schedule here. And of course, we are here initially to catch up with the Group B of the round of 8. Let's go. Let us go. When it comes to Group B, bam, we have our matches here ready for us. We have 4 players. We have Classic, Reynor, Maru, and Gumiho. We have a Protoss, Zerg, Terran, and a mixed race here. Something that I was not quite expecting. Now, we have casted him off race before. Maru, we have covered his Protoss in the past, and he's going to be playing Protoss against Gumiho once again. Now, something about Maru here, if you recall, is that he already played against Gumiho during the qualifiers of GSL Season 1, and he lost. He lost that TVT. Gumiho was looking very strong, very powerful, and it looks like after Maru lost that TVT, looks like he's maybe taking notes from Clem and is switching to Protoss for the rematch. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see how Maru's Protoss has grown over time, because it wasn't looking too impressive last time we saw it, but we'll see how he does perform against Gumiho. Likewise, initially we have Classic versus Reynor. Reynor had a very intense group in the first round in Group Stage 1, where Reynor he clutched it out over Solar. It was going to be either Reynor or Solar. They went back and forth. Solar won the first best of 3, went all the way to the ace match. Reynor won the elimination match. Sorry, he won the decider match in another best of 3, also into the ace match, barely in favor of Reynor. So Reynor, he made it this far instead of Solar, and we'll see how he compares to Classic. Let's go. Classic has likewise a very aggressive form of PvZ typically, but the great thing about GSL is, of course, that these players have had some time to prepare, some time to practice, you know, a week's notice ahead of time to get ready for their matches. So we are jumping into Game 1, jumping into Tokamak. Let's go. Let us go. Just catch him in the chat. Hello to all in the chat as well. I see Cyberjohn was the first quacker. Late Chrononauts, Philosopher, alongside Random Hyper 1 as well. Bienvenidos. Good to see you all. Bienvenidos, as we are jumping into Game 1. And this morning in the top right hand corner of Tokamak, we have the Italian Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing his new team, representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. Here we go. So yeah, settling into our matches, settling into our games here. And again, when it comes to our PvZs, Reynor, we did cover a lot of him during the qualifiers and of course last week as well in the group stage. And Reynor, he was very aggressive in the PvZ matchup. If you recall, we actually casted Reynor versus Hero. We casted Reynor versus Hero. That was in the qualifiers. Hero did take the series, but Reynor was very aggressive, very active. There were very messy games between Reynor and Hero. It was great to see. In the end, as I mentioned, Hero did take it, but I will say that Classic, he is not as aggressive, not as chaotic as Hero, so Reynor might be in a better position here. He might be a little bit more comfortable dictating the pace of the game instead of his opponent. Whereas in the series against Hero, it was both Reynor and Hero being hyper aggressive and hyperactive, and that led into some really awkward game states. We'll see how Classic will approach him though. For now, Hatch Gas Pool, Standard Opener out of Reynor. Likewise, Classic back at home going for a Gate Expand into Cybercore. Standard Openers overall. Let's go. Also, I do want to apologize for yesterday. Yesterday, we were not able to cast the Pegasaur Monday or the Pegasaur Tuesday. Unfortunately, my internet was very unstable. We spoke about it during the podcast last night. Again, I do recommend the podcast. You know, we're catching up on all the news of the week. But as we were catching up, I did mention how my internet was very unstable. It was actually down almost the entire day yesterday. It was very upsetting, very sad, very frustrating. It was a little bit out of our control, and I was really scared that the internet, because we called up our ISP and they said that they could send out a technician on Monday. And it's like, mate, that's after Dallas weekend. Like, what do you what do you mean Monday? What are you talking about? So it was very frustrating, very sad. But thankfully, those issues have since been resolved, and we are back. But it does mean that we missed out on half a day of casting, so I do apologize. Again, Pegasaur Monday, we'd miss it, and unfortunately, we don't really have time to go into a replay cast and cover it again. Just because our schedule's already so jam-packed, but we should be, you know, smooth sailings from here on forward. Fingers crossed, man. As for now, Stargate opener out of Classic, standard stuff. Again, we didn't really expect Classic to deviate too much. Now, Classic, he is one to go into Glaive Adepts from time to time, so we'll see if he does go for a Glaive follow-up. For now, though, it is going to be a standard opener out of Reynor, going for his third base, droning, saturating, getting to link speed, pulling out a cast. Everything's looking as it should. Likewise, Classic should be going for an Oracle first based on the rally, but he can always open up Void Ray. And there it is. It is going to be the Oracle. Okay, so Oracle first, everything's still looking quite standard. Oracle opener into the third base. Again, there's not too much variance when it comes to the early game of ZvP outside of the Protoss player going into a Twilight Council opener, which obviously didn't happen. We can still see an early Twilight Council as the third base is taken, so we're keeping an eye open here for Classic to see if he does go for earlier tech. Otherwise, we're heading in a pretty standard direction here, and we're loading into Tokamak. I didn't get to talk about it, but welcome one and all to Tokamak. Tokamak is one of the more larger macro maps in the map pool. We often see longer games because of that. This is one of the few maps where it is very defendable on 3 and 4 bases, so much more defendable here. Because of that, I do favor Classic when it comes to gearing up into a longer game. I know that Classic, he is one that is willing to go into the late game, into Sky Toss at a moment's notice if he is able to, if he's allowed to. Classic does hit the third. Again, just poking in, taking out some lava, nothing major, no major damage, not yet. Classic does take his third. Speaking of fast Twilight Council, there we go. Twilight Council's on the way. This was thrown down in the first quarter here of the lifespan of this third base, so we might see an earlier Forge, or we might just see Glaives out of this. I say earlier Forge, there's no Forge. There's no Forge alongside this, so this does feel like Glaives. Never mind. Later Forge, earlier Twilight Council, looks like Blink out of Classic. A much safer style. Basically, because the Twilight Council was so fast, it does mean that Blink is going to be faster. It does mean that if Reynor were to go for a 2-base all-in or a 3-base all-in, Blink would be done in time to defend. It also means that the upgrade is going to be later, unfortunately, but it's going to be in favor of the faster upgrade, of the faster Blink timing. Oracles poke in, they get a couple of drone kills. 3 drones go down, not bad. Meanwhile, we have the fast Eva chamber out of Reynor going into +1 melee, going into more Ling heavy composition. The Roach Warren should just be for safety. This should be Ling into Hydra. Do have the initial 6 adepts. They do commit to the shade. And they could trade well here. Yeah, there are some Lings in position, but the Lings, they should all go down. Yeah, 3 Lings remaining, down to 0. Adepts, they bust into the main. At the same time, Oracles, they are deflected. Stage trap going off here, catching a couple of drones. Do catch a couple workers at the same time. Ling counterattack, getting even more probes though. 5 workers, almost 6 probes going to be going down. Nice run by here by Reynor. At the same time, Adepts, they do deny some mining time, but nowhere near as much damage. So shade away, and they are cleaned up. As it settles, Reynor in a better position. Again, this Ling run by should not have gotten as much damage. 7 probe kills. Aye. Very nice damage dealt here by Reynor. A nice adaptation considering that he was in a bit of trouble here back at home when it came to dealing with those adepts. But he shuts them down. He gets a counter damage done. And Reynor is in a better position. From here, he's droning. Now he can take a 4th base. He can tech up. We should be seeing a Hydrogen soon, as we don't have one yet, which is a little bit concerning. Right now, gases are being taken in preparation in lieu of those Hydras. Meanwhile, we have our tech of choice. This has been very trendy. This is very mainstream, very standard. That is going from +1 and Blink into not Colossus, but Storm. Because of the Twilight Council change, because of the NG overcharge change, Storm follow-ups have been very trendy as of late, have been very popular, and are now more expected. Meanwhile, if you recall, I was waiting for the Hydrogen. We didn't see one. Reynor taking a massive risk going into Mutas. Very greedy, very risky play here by Reynor. We'll see if he can get away with it. For the time being, no tech has been scouted, but as I mentioned, it is not uncommon for a Zerg player to be going into Hydras from here, so Classic is still unaware. Classic doesn't know that there's some crazy tech coming his way. Classic is in the dark. Revelation sees gases. But again, this could just be for Hydras, this could just be for Lurker tech. Lane drop into the main, and Classic is still trying to figure out what's going on. It's still in the dark. Likewise, Lings, they get a full surround, and they're going to be able to force a cancel, not bad. Ooh, yeah, the base is denied. Oracles, they race back home to defend, and what's important is that this isn't just denying bases, this isn't just doing economic damage, this is keeping the Oracles busy. How do you typically scout as Protoss? With hallucinations or with your Oracles? Like the Oracles, they should be across the map, they should be revealing, they should be keeping eyes on mineral lines, on gases, on production, but they're stuck at home against these Lings. The Lings, they only get 3 probe kills, but again, it's not about the damage, it's about the time that they're buying. Likewise, more Ling shop. Now, at this point, suspect. At this point, non-stop Ling aggression, non-stop Ling round buys. Where's the gas being spent? Sure, you can still make an argument that, you know, maybe he's teching and maybe he's getting into Hydras back at home, but something is wrong here. The gas should be being spent somewhere, and we know it's Mutas, and Classic, does he piece it together? Yeah, stack defense here at his 4th base, stack at the 3rd, no stack in the natural, no stack in the main. He is not fully aware. There we go, now he knows. Cannon. Cannon's on the way. I say now he knows. He has an inkling. He has an idea that something is amiss. Based on this cannon placement, it looks like to defend against Ling round buys. Or Ling drops, I should say. Not against Muta play. It's not protecting the mineral line. And here we go. Mutas, they are now revealed in Classic. He had no idea. The pants are down, baby. The pants are down. He had no idea. Forces a recall. 3 probe kills fall already. Gets 3 workers. Rotates into the natural. Up. Gets up to 5. Yeah, 5, 6 probes going to be going down, getting up to 7. Losing a Muta in the process. But so far, this is the kills they're racking up. At the same time, Lings, they do hit the 4th. Yeah, they force out Storms, they catch out High Templar. Massive pickoffs here from Reynor. He's just pulling Classic apart. 24 probe kills, and not just 24 probes on the base as well. The expansion is going down behind this. Roach speed is on the way. Roach production has begun. He needs those Roaches to survive the counterattack. And again, Reynor, he is going to force that counterattack as Classic, he's at this point all in. 32 probe kills and the 4th base. Classic, he has no economy. On top of that, he has no High Templar either. 1 High Templar was killed. More Archons are morphed in. There's 2 High Templar remaining. No NG for Storm. It's going to be a rough all in, but Classic, what else can he do? Reynor's maxing. Reynor is maxing out. He's on 89 workers. He's on 5 bases. Yep, here comes the all-in. Now, this can still trade very efficiently, true, but there's no storm. Like if there were like 4 High Templar instead of 2, if there were more High Templar and like a War Prism, then I could have faith in this army. I could be like, yo, he's down 60 supply, he can still win. Like, he's still got a terrifying Protoss army, but here less so. Again, there's the first storm. There's going to be 1 storm left. Takes out the expansion, which is nice, but he needs more than that. Classic, he needs more than just a base, and now he's on the back foot. Reynor moving in. Classic. Oh no, the High Templar! Force him morph into an Archon. 0 storms. I say that 6 High Templar just morphed in. It's a lot of Templar. Ooh, as Reynor, he does catch up the Archons. 1, 2 Archons going down. At the same time, Mutas are still alive. Ooh, they hit the 3rd. Ultra Cavern's on the way. Hive is done. Ultra's going to be on the horizon. Making use of those melee upgrades. Likewise, music another 12 probes. I say 12 up to 19. Up to 19 workers, and again, Classic, you just cannot keep up with these mutas. And this all came down to the scouting, or it came down to the lack of scouting. As we mentioned, Reynor, the MVPs of this game were the Zerglings. The Zerglings, time and time again, you can even see them here. They were hitting the 3rd, the 4th, the main, the 4th again, the main base again. And it was all about buying time, all about keeping Classic busy and making sure he never scouted. And he never did. Never did scout. And that was the death of Classic in this game. Classic does threaten the dive. Now again, moving out. We'll see what he can get done. 1009 mining here at the center expansion. At the same time, Reynor going for a massive Link counterattack. Link Bane counterattack even. And again, this expansion doesn't really matter as much to Reynor. Does hit the base, gets us up the cannons, does force a recall, and Reynor is just happy to trade. Is content to trade, picks up some Stalkers. And remember, Ultras are on the way with kindness plating and +3. And the upgrades are insane. Ultras, they can tank some storms. I'm not too sure if the army is large enough here for Reynor, but he will push in regardless. He does tank those storms. Now backs off. Meanwhile, 13 more probes go down. Nice storm here on the Lings. Very nice. Cleans them all up. Is there a world where Classic can maybe weather the storm and then break out? The problem here is that he doesn't really have any immortals. You can see double robo production on the way. He now recognizes the threat and the importance of immortal production to deal with the Ultras. But currently he has no immortals. These Ultras, they're a problem. Takes down the expansion. We have 6 more Ultras on the way. Reynor once again getting into the mineral line, chasing down the main army. And Reynor, he needs to trade. Like, this isn't about preserving his units as much, because he's gonna have a very ultra heavy composition. But I believe he has infestors. Yeah, he has fungal. He has fungals. There we go. Locks down the army. Oh my god, landing another chain fungal here. But that did cost Reynor a lot of ultras. Regardless, it's fine, he can afford it. Reynor, he's on 80 workers, he can still afford it. He's double expanding behind this, going for that center goal base once again. Breaks through the main army, gets into the mineral line. And the ultras, they just keep piling in. They just keep coming. They don't stop. Takes down the immortal, takes down the High Templar. It looks like Reynor, he has finally done it. He is working the back of Classic. I mean, did so quite some time ago at this point, but Classic, he was hanging in there. GG gets called, and Reynor takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Reynor, he does take a lead in the series. Again, very nicely done, but a lot of this did hinge on the fact that he did hide his tech. Again, it all came down to the mutas. You know, you can be the best Protoss player in the world, but if you miss a muta switch and a muta tech switch like that, then, I mean, it can all be over then and there. Classic, he had no answer. He had some Blink Stalkers, he had some Archons, he had some Storms, that is true, but he could not keep up with the mobility of those mutas, and they did end the game. Remember, they killed, what, 32 probes? And a 4th base. It was crazy just how much damage they dealt the mutas in conjunction with the lings on the ground and even a couple of roaches. And really impressive play there by Reynor. Meanwhile, Classic, it's going to be on him to be more on top of scouting, more on top of recognizing what kind of tech Reynor is going for. Now, I do not expect Reynor to play mutas again in this series. Like, typically, this is something that you do once in a best of 3, and we shouldn't rely on it because, as we mentioned, this was heavily reliant on Classic missing the tech. And now that you've done it once, now that you've shown your hand, chances are your opponent's going to be much more adamant and much more vigilant when it comes to scouting, when it comes to checking what you're up to. So I feel like from here, we should be relying on something a little bit different. But for now, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of lane lines, we have the Italian Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Basilisk, leading the series 1-0. It is Reynor. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. We go. And again, Reynor did end last game in style, going into Ultras, but to be honest, he could have done anything at that point. He could have just stuck with Link Main Roach Ravager, could have teched up into Lurker tech instead. Like, Reynor was just that far ahead after the mutas. But as you mentioned, we do not expect mutas again in this series. Maybe if like we skip mutas in game 1, and if it goes to the ace match, maybe again in the ace match, but even then, not too fond of the idea. For now, Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener here out of Reynor. Likewise, a Classic going for his own standard opener as well. Nothing crazy yet. As a reminder, we didn't really have much deviation last game. Reynor went for a safety Roach Warren. He went Eva Chamber first into plus on melee, into what I assumed initially was going to be Ling Hydra, but no, it was Ling Muta instead. Meanwhile, Classic, he himself did open up standard Stargate, Oracle, third base, into plus 1 Link Stalkers, into delayed +1 as well. So we'll see if they do go for some different starts, some different openers. But now everything's looking as it should. Also, welcome to Leylines. Leylines is one of the more standard maps in the map pool. It's very middle of the road. It's not too large, not too small. Rush distance is, again, kind of middle of the road compared to all the other maps out there. We often see longer games or a lot of mid-game as a result. Like, the 4-base setup is relatively defendable as long as you're able to keep up with your opponents. You can get in position to defend. We'll see. We can get more of a back and forth here. But now, once again, Stargate. Once again, Stargate opener out of Classic. See, that does red in the shade. They're basically to be taken. Oracle first, not Void Ray. I mean, Classic, he is one to mix in Void Ray openers from time to time. I mean, infamously, he did, you know, popularize Void Ray into Tempest Rush. That was last year on Alcyone. What, 2 years ago at this point, right? Like November of 2023. Jesus, it's been a while. Has been a while. Meanwhile, Reynor, he does make 6 lings, or he does make an extra pair of lings. He does head across the map, headed towards the 3rd location. He's here to delay. At the same time, Classic does threaten a dive, threatens a shade. Here come the lings, and Reynor, he may snipe the probe, and he shouldn't force a cancel, as the 2nd Oracle should arrive. That's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. Oh no, and he won't quite force the cancel. Whew. Okay. More Lings have arrived, but now they're Adepts, and yeah, now we should be okay. Classic, he should hold on. Second Oracle moves out. And behind this, we have our Twilight Council alongside Forge. This is a little bit earlier. This should be Pulse on and Blink, but we'll see if we go into a Charge follow-up instead. On a smaller map like Lane Lines, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Does make more sense than we would see on Tokamak, for example. Oracle's a back off. Okay, plus on Blink Stalkers. Never mind. So this is going to be a later blink timing compared to last game, but an earlier Forge as a result. So this is a more standard setup. We have our Gateway Explosion behind this, getting up to 6 gates on 2 bases. Oracle pokes in, Stasis Trap, catching just one. Once again, it is going to be the same build out of Reynor. Remember last game we saw earlier Eva Chamber +1 melee, safety Roach Warren. Last game this led into Ling Muta. This time this should be for Ling Hydra, I would imagine. We are waiting for the lair. Overload is shut down. Once again, Temple Archives. This is for Storm, for Archons. Now, with the Gateway Explosion that's coming out, Classic can be a little bit more assertive this time. He wasn't really active last game with his Stalkers. He wasn't able to apply too much pressure. We'll see if he does this time. Yep, there it is, Hydrogen. As we assumed here, Reynor, he would be going Mutas 2 games in a row. He is going Ling Hydra instead, which means this time we're going to have more of a back and forth. The purpose of Mutas, it's high risk, high reward. If it goes unscattered, it can just win you the game. And it did do so last time. Here, this is more straight up. This is more to get into the mid game, more of a back and forth. This can lead into a 3-base all-in. You can see Reynor, he does cut workers at 66, but we have a couple more drones on the way, and we can decide to saturate the 4th base, or Reynor can cut workers and go all-in. As Reynor is squeezing out a couple of drones. Baliness is on the way. Stalkers have arrived. Oh, first Aces is baited out, but there's another behind this. Lings, they attempt to catch reinforcements. And so far, Classic trading well. Another nice Aces. Stasis goes up. Lings, they hit the would-be 4th, but last Adepts are in position. Classic pushing in, spots the Hydras. Unlike the last game, if you remember, Classic, he never saw anything. He never saw what the gas was being spent on. Now he does. Now he's aware of the Hydras. Now he can rest easy. He knows there's not going to be Muta. And we're building up. Stalkers, a race back home. Reynor, he rotates over towards the 4th. Classic auto, getting position, gets Revelation. Storm is already done. And you can see Classic just look much more comfortable here compared to last game. He's getting a 4th base, he's keeping up with the Lings. From here, Reynor, he did make the decision, Infestation Pit. This tells us Lurker Tech. Tells us that we're taking up into Hive, taking up into Lurkers. We're building up into a longer, later game. Classic is pushing through. Does push through. Hive is still on the way for Reynor. Reynor, he's not ready for Lurker Tech. He has purely Ling Hydra. Where the Banelings? Without Banelings, this is going to be a tough hold. And by tough hold, I mean, oh, he cannot hold on. No shot. The base is going to go down. Classic is overwhelming. Zealot right towards the top side, going for another base. And this army here, Reynor, he just can't engage. Again, he never got a Baleen. Oh, sorry, he did. My apologies. Did get a Baleen Nest, got Baleen Speed, but never invested. Yeah, Lindsay gets shut down towards the top side. We have Sky Toss on the way for Classic. I would say this is a little bit unnecessary, but sure. And he gets 2 bases, takes down the 4th and the 5th. Reynor knocked down to 3. Reynor having a hard time keeping up. Reynor, he does get into the main. I believe he does scout all the tech. Yeah, he's aware of the Stargate. He's aware of the Sky Toss. Classic, I feel like, can keep pushing, but I mean, he's playing it safe. As we mentioned, he's backing off, securing his fourth, throwing down a wall of cannons and shield batteries, and getting ready for the late game. Meanwhile, Reynor, he has yet to throw down his own Lurker Den. He has Hive, he can get into Viper tech. But again, Classic playing it safe. He pulls away. Tempest production has begun. Technically, I do think that Classic could have just kept pushing and just ended it and just killed the third. But here, he's just playing out a longer game state. He's playing the long game, essentially. Just getting further ahead. Teching up. Carrier production has begun. Same time, Reynor going for a lane run by. The wall is a wall. This is not hero. Oh no! Does find an immortal though. Not bad. Morsel is going to go down. Nice catch. Considering that Reynor is switching into ultras, the idea of going into an ultra switch, it's a little bit short-sighted. Ultras, they can do quite well against a ground army like this. They do not help support against Skytoss though. So this is a very heavy Lingbane Ultra composition. Hydras are here to support. And I'm concerned for Reynor. Again, he scouted this. He knows. I mean, unless he didn't click is the problem. Like, his Overseer saw the buildings, but I don't know if he's fully aware of what the Overseer saw. Otherwise, we should be seeing a Spire. We should be seeing a Spire. We should be seeing some Vipers. The reason why Lurkers are a better complement to this army is because you're already investing into Hydras initially to help defend against the Sky Toss. But we'll see. As Banelings have morphed in, you can see that they just threaten away all those Zealots. Oof. Half of them get shut down. Nice storm towards the end. And with that Classic, he should hold on here. Yeah, Classic does hold. The main army is soon to be revealed. Now it's only 2 carriers. It's soon to be 4 carriers, but again, the anti-air here is very limited. There's 27 Hydras. You could argue, oh, that's a lot of Hydras. It is for now, but Storm has something to say about that. It's like, up against Storm, like 27 Hydras, that's nothing. That's like 2 Storms. That's what 2.5. Mothership is spotted. We have 6 Ultras on the way. And we'll see how Reynor can handle this push. Because he is maxed, but again, this is where the soup does lie. One army is not quite like the other. Now, considering how many Archons there are and how few carriers there are, I do still feel like Reynor has a solid chance to clean up the ground army at least, for sure. I can see him breaking those Archons. Now, the real question becomes, when it comes to the next fight, is can Reynor get on top of the High Templar and kill the High Templar before the Storms? I'm referring to the Ultras, right? The role of the Ultra in this kind of composition is to dive on those High Templar, force out the Storms, lock them down, and allow the Hydras to overwhelm. So we'll see if the Ultras can get there. There's 4 High Templar. Prism is in between the bases. Spire is now on the way. This is a late Spire, very late. And here we go, he's going for it. There's for Storm. Storm on mainly Ultras. There's a recall. He recalls back to his army. Okay, interesting. I don't know if that was meant to happen. But High Templar, one High Templar is going to be going down. He gets 1. Ooh, and there's 1 left. It's also going to go down. Oh, never mind. Gets away. Okay. He recalled to like blink like a couple of steps forward. Like, I don't think that was intentional. I don't think that was meant to happen. I think that was meant to be a slow zone, by the way. Classic, he panicked. He just slammed the keyboard, pressed everything. Sure. All right, hey, you saved the High Templar. True. As also do get into the mineral line. behind this more carriers. And the problem here is that now, sure, Reynor, now he's taking into a spire, but this is so delayed. These are going to be 0-0 corruptors. He's not ready for the sky toss, and at this point it is going to be sky toss. We have 5, soon to be 8 carriers against only Hydra. Like, there's no infestors, there's no microbial shroud, there's no vipers, there's no blinding, also there's no parasitic bombs or abductions. More importantly, ultras are going to be thrown away. Right now these ultras are almost dead supply. Like, we need to get rid of them. We're trading ultras against cannons. It's a better trade for Classic. As Classic, does save the mineral line. Here come the immortals. They should save the base. Oh god, a massive storms on the Hydras. Oh god. And yeah, Reynor, you can see he plummets in supply. He was at 200, now down to 138. As we mentioned, the soup does lie. One is not quite like the other. And Classic, with the hyper efficient army he's pushing in, we have 7 more ultras in production. But again, ultras are not going to save Reynor. Not against this. Not like this. Reynor with the remax, but Classic, I still favor his army. As Reynor, he has 6 Hydras. Takes down the base. And so Classic, there's no reason to back up from here. Like, Classic can just keep pushing forward. You can just keep pushing in. Last time he was in this position, if you remember, he backed up, he retreated, he got into sky toss. But at this moment, like, there's no reason to retreat. And here we go. Slows down on the main army. Storms as well. The ultras, they run into the storms. Hydras, they run in as well. And the army melts. Yeah, the Zerg army just melts here. Taking down every single ultra. GG gets called. And Classic, he will tie the series 1-1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. With that, does claim the series. Oh, sorry, does take a lead in the series, or tie up the series, I should say. And now we're getting into game number 3. Now, again, I don't blame Reynor for going into like a Ling Hydra based composition. That was fine. Unfortunately, he did see the sky toss ahead of time, and he didn't react to it. Now, once again, as I mentioned, the Overseer saw the sky toss, the Overseer saw the fleet beacon and saw the stargates. It looks like Reynor didn't click on the buildings. It looks like even though the Overseer saw it, I don't think Reynor actually took note of it until much later. But despite that, eventually when the mothership was revealed, when the carriers were revealed, Reynor, he didn't react to that, in the sense that he didn't throw down the spire in that moment. He did decide to commit into ultras. You could argue that maybe he was too far gone, like maybe it was too late, and like he had already like doubled down into Katniss plating, he'd already doubled down into ultra production. So like it's a hard call to make in that moment to like hard switch into corruptor. But because he didn't, he was kind of stuck on ultras, and it was just a really awkward transition out of it. You could argue that by then it was too late. By then it was like too late to go into corruptors anyway, and he was too far behind. There's definitely an argument to be made there, but regardless, GG well played. With that, the series gets tied up, and we are getting into the ace match, alluding into Ultra Love for game 3. Let's go. Let us go. And we'll see if we go back into Mutatech, or if we embrace Hydras, or if we go for something a little bit different. Let's find out. As spawning in the right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing his new team, representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. And oh my god, spawning, okay, in the bottom left hand corner, going for the extractor trick, we have the Italian Zerg player for Basilisk. It is Reynor. We go. Soon, same number of carriers as our Hydras. I mean, there was a time in that game where I think we had 9 or 10 carriers against 6 Hydras. It was aye. Also, very quickly, there's a weird conversation happening in the chat that's completely unrelated to StarCraft, so I would say, hey, take it somewhere else if you wish. We're here for StarCraft, here for GSL. But here we go. So far, we do have a Hatch Gas Pool, Standard Opener out of Reynor. Likewise, Gate Expand out of Classic. Everything so far looking as it should. Do we know if Reynor is going for Season 2 GSL or Dallas? If you tune into the podcast, we were live with the podcast yesterday. Last night, we went over the players. The official player list has been revealed, and everyone is going to Dallas. I think there was some people coping about like visa issues or immigration issues or anything like that. But we checked, and like all the top players are going. So I think all the top GSL players like Bunny, Kior, Bjorn, Classic, Hero, Zaun, Maru, Bjorn, Solar, Shin, Rogue, like everyone. All the Koreans are going, all the top Europeans are going. When I say top Europeans, Showtime, Spirit, Reynor, Serral, Clem, Skillus, Mana, Geralt, Jumi, like everyone's there. I think we were trying to find a player that wasn't going. I think Nightmare is the only Korean, only like big notable Korean that isn't going, but Nightmare is very out of practice. Like Nightmare, he's playing Deadlock nowadays, so it makes sense that Nightmare wouldn't go. But I think Nightmare is the only big Korean that isn't going. And from the European side, I think you have to go down to Gabe is going as well. Gabe is going. For the European side, I think Laser's going, Lambo's going. You have to go down to like players like Young Yakov or Wayne or Nicaract or Iba or Christiana. Like those are the level players that aren't going to Dallas, but like everyone, like literally everyone else is going. It's crazy. Just like the player list that's going to Dallas is insane. It's going to be a stacked tournament. Max Wax, yeah, but that's a given. Like no one ever believes that Max Wax is going to go. That's like a default. Of course he's not going to go. But yeah, anyone who's anyone is going to Dallas. But the player list was revealed yesterday, I believe. So we went over it during the podcast. Meanwhile, once again, standard opener, Hatch Gas Pool out of our Zerg player. Likewise, Classic going into his Stargate opener, Oracle into a third base. We should gamble on who the US doesn't let in. I think they're going to let everyone in. Like, I don't think there's any reason to believe they wouldn't. I think we already have photos of players like getting into their hotel rooms. Like Jimmy and Geralt, they were of course posting on Instagram. I think Bjorn as well. Bjorn, he was posting on Instagram. I think Bjorn was traveling with the Vitality Boys, with Maru and Zaun and Ryung. As Oracles, they poke in, they do catch a couple workers. Behind this, we do have our Twilight Council pull off. I don't see a Forge, by the way. Ooh, no Forge alongside this. Are we going finally into Glaives? Classic is, yep, there it is. Glaives are on the way. So Classic, he's been playing standard this entire game, and now he is being more aggressive here. He's going to be doubling down. Sorry, I'm going to say standard the entire series, but Classic does double down into Glaive Adepts. From here, oh. Does from the Shade Lings, they do hit the third. Last Adepts are in position. So far, going to be zoned away. As the Overlord does confirm. Now, thankfully, Reynor, he did get a Safety Roach Warren, so Safety Roach Warren has been thrown down. Reynor, he's been quite greedy. He's getting a fourth base. He's joining up to 60 here. We need roaches. We need roaches soon. Right now, it's pure Ling production, and he has access to Roach Tech, but he's not making anything. Reynor's being greedy, and he saw everything. He saw the Twilight Council. Oh, he saw the fake Forge. No, he saw the... Okay. Never mind, I didn't realize a fake Forge was thrown down. We are getting into +1, but this is very late, very delayed, and here come the Adepts. Here come the Adepts. Basically, you never get a Forge with the Twilight Council with Glaives. It's typically not done together. And Adepts, they have arrived. They go for the first Queen. The Queen goes down. Adepts, they shade in towards that natural. The wall is up. True. Walls up and running. So far, no damage done yet. No economic damage. And Reynor, he's holding. So far, so good. Did I speak too soon? Ah, we did. And if they shade into the main base, 4 or 5 drones going to be going down. This is okay damage for Classic, but he needs more. He needs more damage, and he's going to get it. Here we go. Adepts shade in towards that third. Stasis is denied. Lings are here to defend. And so far, Reynor is keeping up. Reynor is keeping up. More Adepts shade into the natural. And Reynor, he does minimize losses. He loses 10 drones in total. I would say this is an acceptable damage. Losing only 10 workers. Behind this, as a reminder, this was no all-in. Classic, he's on 3 bases. He's taking up into +1, Blink, and Storm. Now, the Forge is going to be faster than normal. I should say +1 is faster than normal because we had the earlier Forge. That is going to be a factor here. Stalkers are amassing, and the game continues. Ooh, no roach speed. Yeah, no roach speed here for Reynor, so he has no counterattack potential. Reynor is going to be stuck at home. There's the revelation. And Classic's fine. Yeah, Reynor, he doesn't move out. Like, he can't move out with this. No speed. Oh, so Reynor, he's stuck re-droning, going into Hydra production. Oh! Does catch the Oracle. Not bad. Does zone the Oracle away. Oh, has one Oracle goes down. So now moving out. Yeah, Reynor getting a decent surround here. We're not quite going for the expansion, going for the army instead. And Classic, he will be able to hold. He defends. Reynor, in the meantime, he's taking up in towards Lurker tech. I mean, if you recall, I assumed last game he was going into Lurkers, then he switched into instead Ultra production, which was, you know, something he committed to, wasn't quite worth it. This time, Reynor does have +1 range, so he's more suited and more set up for Lurker tech instead. Not Ultras. As now Reynor has speed, he can now be more active. Yep, there's the Lurker Den on the way. So Reynor taking up towards the Lurkers. Reynor also successfully joining up to 83. Solid economy. Solid saturation. Reynor, he is holding onto that ramp. Likewise, Classic, due to what I see, is taking Stargates, getting ready for Sky Toss. And we might be able to embrace a longer game. Nice Storm. Oh, good. Brutal Storm on the Hydras. And Classic can just bully his way forward. Without Lurkers, it's going to be a tough hold here for Reynor. Where are the Lurkers? Lurkers just now morphing in. 4 Lurkers on the way. Without them, he just cannot touch this army. There are so many Storms. And the Storms are coming in. Blinks on forward. Dives on the main army and just pushes himself off the ramp. Lurkers are morphing in at the third base, not in the natural. Yeah, we have Storms to just cover the retreat or cover the backside. Classic can just take control of the natural and just recall back home. Oh, there are more Storms. And Reynor's just been caught out of position. He's just out of position. He's caught outside of his base on the low ground, pushing into Storms. Oh, God. And there's, what, 1 Storm left. Oh, there it is. That was the final Storm. 20 drones going down. Archons, they do wrap up. They do finish. Pushing further into the bases. And Classic just trading so efficiently here. At the same time, Zelarame, sorry, Stalker counterattack towards the 4th. Classic pushing further in. Has control of the ramp. Takes down the Hydras. Just catches reinforcements. Likewise, Stalkers, they break into the mineral line. They blink down to the low ground as... Oh, God. They blink down to the low ground. Picking up more Hydras. And this Reynor's just being pulled apart here. Just being torn apart. Hydras going down. Lurkers going down. 17 drone kills. And doesn't even have to recall his army. He just rotates back. Now behind this, I'm a little bit concerned that he doesn't have any storms remaining. Checking the army here, yeah, there's one immortal back at home, there's no High Templar, but the reality is Reynor has no pushing power. Like, he has nothing left. Reynor, he's down to 3 lurkers and 4 hydras. He's stuck re-droning, re-saturating. Reynor took a lot of losses, a lot of hits. Like, Classic has a booming economy. And Classic is taking up into Skytoss. The fleet beacon is done. If he wants to, he can start. There we go. Tempest production has begun. He just build up his Tempest count and back off. So he does pull away. Does pull away, does rotate. Looking for a way in. And sure, like Reynor, he's gonna be able to stabilize here on Hydra Lurker tech and just build up and fortify himself and rebuild and set up, I should say. But what about the Skytoss, which is revealed? We are revealing the Tempest. Reynor, he's now aware. Nidus on the way. It makes the most sense. He's gonna go. Like, he has to try to end the game before the Skytoss gets out of hand, before Classic maxes out. As the game stands at the moment, Classic will max and will take this game, so there's a lot of pressure on Reynor to go for an all-in here, or to try to get some damage to recover. So the pressure is on. Nidus is on the way. Classic pushing forward. He's moving into 10 lurkers. Now 12. Now what's important here is that Classic isn't being passive. Like, he's not being passive, he's now pushing out. He could just back up and turtle up, but no, he's being more proactive instead. Oof. Catching up free hydras. Oh, it's not on the storm! Oh god. Storm pops off. Oh god, he gets baited in time and time again. The storms. Oh god, no, 3 times in a row, and with that there's 4 hydras remaining. Nidus into the main. This is the Hail Mary play here for Reynor. Yeah, he's just going in. He sends it. Every single lurker into the Nidus. Oh god, it's the only chance he has. Nidus does finish. Lurkers, they bust into the main. They get on top of the production. And the base trade has begun. And again, this is the best chance that Reynor has. Going for the base trade. He will lose his 3rd. He breaks the main, getting on top of the production. And Classic, he can always recall. Bear that in mind. He can either recall to the natural or recall to the 3rd. For now, he needs more damage. Zel's peel off into the mineral line. Classic going for the main. Snipes the infestation bit, which means no Vipers. No spellcasters. Meanwhile, Stargates are depowered. Lurkers, they bust into the natural now. Oh, more probes going down. They cannot escape. Meanwhile, Reynor losing every single drone, and I believe he does have some workers on the left-hand side. He can maybe try to sneak out of base. He has no money. He needs money. Oh. Storm of the Queen. Lurker 10 goes down. Yeah, bases are falling, and Reynor, he can't afford an expansion. He's broke. He can't afford a base. So what you see is what you go in terms of buildings. Now, the Nidus does count as a building, I believe, so that is going to be a factor. Is that the Nidus has to be killed. Oof. Storm on the drones. But Classic can always recall. He can always recall back home. He does have an observer. And it looks like he is going for the recall. There we go, races back. There are 12 hydras. That's not going to be enough. Yeah, as the storms, they pop off. Tempest rally in. And aside from the observer getting sniped, which I believe was... Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, the army can't get much done. Observer moves in. Final lurkers going down. GG gets called, and Classic he will claim the series 2-1, advancing on to the winners match. GG. GG, well played. Classic spicing things up towards the end. Again, game 1 and game 2 we had pretty standard builds at a Classic. It was Reynor those being more cheeky and more cheesy, especially in game 1 by going into those mutas. But here in the ace match we did have Classic going into Global Depths, and remember, he did not end the game, but he did enough damage. He was able to trade against Lings. He got, I want to say, 10 drones. He got 10 drones in total, and even though he didn't cripple, he didn't kill Reynor, he did enough damage to get himself into the mid game, into a longer game state. If you remember, Reynor, he had no roach speed, so he couldn't counterattack, he couldn't do anything with his army. He was stuck at home, and from there Classic was able to overwhelm, getting into High Templar, getting into Stalkers. Despite that, things were still quite close between the players, but if you remember, Reynor delayed his lurkers. He delayed his building any lurkers, and because of that, what won Classic the game was his Stalker move out with, it was like 8 High Templar, maybe 10 High Templar. I'm referring to the moment where he pushed into the natural, where he bypassed the army, he outpositioned Reynor, and got into the natural and had the high ground, and he was just storming behind him, and Reynor could not actually engage with the army without pushing into storms. Like, it was just a really awkward position for Reynor. Again, his lurkers were late, they were also at the third, so lurkers never really came into play, and that was critical damage. GG, well played. With that, Classic does advance on to the winners match. Reynor gets knocked down to the elimination match, and up next we have our next best of 3. Up next we have our best of 3 between Maru and Gumiho. Let's go.